We're joined today by Evan Altman, and he's going to log into the presentation and then swing around, and you'll see him on the camera here in a second. But let me get through my housekeeping. If you have any questions, we want them in the question box, and I'll peruse these throughout the presentation. And what's more, if you have a moment right now, could you just maybe post something in the question box, just attesting that the sound is good. I see somebody already texting me, or saying that the sound needs to be punched up. I'm doing so. Okay. Thank you, Val, and thank you for your patience, everybody. I'm sure you will get things rolling here in a second for Golden Rule. Excellent. Okay, so on to the next item, and you know, these are the three amigos of the individual market. Brad Petrella is new, and he joined us as the Business Development Director from Northern Ohio along about June of this year, and we're delighted to have him on board. And he's formerly of UHC Medicare. So many of you are familiar with Brad, and we're so delighted to have him on board the team here at Cornerstone. And again, he's a specialist like me and Eric in the individual market. And there's my information. And what's more, Eric is a tech wizard, and unfortunately he couldn't be on the call today because he's doing his tech wizardry with another agency, helping them get onboarded for all things individual. So by all means, give us a shout if you have any questions about everything and anything on the individual market, ACA, small group, or not, sorry, short term, and the like. So next item of business as we keep rolling here is the Health Sherpa ACA enrollment platform. It's the country's largest ACA enrollment platform. UHC ACA is on there too. So this innovative health care technology is the country's largest ACA agent enrollment platform. Health Sherpa's faster and easier alternative to healthcare.gov will have you at the leading edge of technology and enable you to maximize your marketplace experience. Health Sherpa is the only agent platform approved by CMS to offer EDE. Learn more about it on our website /Health Sherpa. Okay. And rolling right along here, and we'll get started here in a second. You can check out this and all other webinars on demand on our incredible award-winning website, www.crmstone.com/resource-center. And the lovely and talented Jess Larkin is the maestro of our website. And give a quick shout. Jess, are you on mute?
Yes, I was. Hi.
Okay, I know. Giving you a nice. Okay, so as we roll into things, and Evan, did things work out on the technology side for you?
So, sorry for the little tech issues there. Some of these things, you know, where it's kind of fun to do the virtual stuff in person to some extent. So it's good to be here with you all. My name is Evan Altman. Some of you have probably seen me or heard from me before. I don't know if any of you will be around. We've got an ACA event later, so we'll be live and really in person there. But what I want to talk to you about today is the critical guard plans that we've got coming out. These will actually launch on the 22nd. Now, there are some other plans. You may have seen these out there called Advantage Guard. Those are also launching on the 22nd. Those are also on our UnitedHealthOne Golden Rule insurance paper. So really, really cool stuff. Those are, as the name would indicate, a little more geared primarily at the Medicare Advantage market. However, they do have some under 65 application on that side as well. But I think what you're going to see, the main theme that we want to talk about here is that we're trying to get even more flexible. We're trying to cover this market even better, whether that be on the ACA side of things and the Medicare side, and then bridge between them. We don't want to be static in either way. And you're going to hear more about the ACA stuff. So again, tons of rollouts. We got live meetings going on. We've got a lot of virtual meetings as well. You're going to hear about it. And one of the most exciting aspects, we noted it earlier, we're expanding into the Columbus market. We're getting into a bunch of other markets across the country too. So we're almost doubling our county presence. When you talk about across all our markets, we're adding 4 new states. We were in something like 530 counties for the 2023 open enrollment period. For 24, we're going to be in over 1,000. Big stuff there. But I don't want to steal anybody's thunder on the ACA side. We're going to talk about the Critical Guard. Again, this is a new product. Normally, if you've been doing business with us for a while, you're probably used to us waiting until like the day before it launches, or maybe it's a week after it launches, and then we'll finally come up and be like, oh, hey, here's this new product we've got. And that's largely because we don't want to subvert any of the sales that we've currently got, right? We don't want to sabotage our current products, but we're really excited about this one. And what we wanted to do was get you all the information we possibly could, even if that means you're not going to sell as much of our critical illness or some other things in the meantime, because this one's going to be much better. Really think you're going to like this product. So the biggest thing we wanted to address, right, was as we're looking at this, and we look at this ACA market, right, I think we see so much more. People are able to get a plan for 0 premium or very low premium, right? A vast majority come in like $10, $20 and less. But that doesn't mean that out-of-pocket costs have gone away. If anything, it could be a little bit higher, right? So when you look at some of those surveys that are out there, you say, what is the percentage of adults that say it would be very somewhat difficult for them to afford to pay some of the following? I mean, the top one on there, out-of-pocket costs for medical care, they're not covered by their insurance. Or even realistically, even if they are covered by insurance, right? I could have an ACA product. It doesn't mean I'm going to get free claims, right? So big things there, but look at dental care, hearing, vision. Let's look at those ones in the light blue. That's what I want to draw everybody's attention to, because those are things that people don't generally think about, right? Health insurance, I think about health. I think about maybe issues that would come up, but do I think about my rent, my mortgage, gasoline and transportation costs, utilities, food, right? Things like that. Because if I'm out of work, a significant accident or illness, I'm going to have trouble with some of those things. That's what we really want to address with these critical illness products. Now, here's the next one. Between 1.5 and 1.6 million Americans, I guess we could have just put 1.55 and made it easy, will actually purchase a critical illness policy. So the market is there, but if you think about how many people are actually on an ACA product, and you're looking at a market that's almost 10 times that size, right? So there's plenty of room for opportunity in this. But here's the deal, and these aren't fun things to look at, but they're very realistic, and I think we need to start addressing these when we're talking to our clients out there, when we're working with a customer on the phone, finding out what they need. And there's some pretty tough questions sometimes we got to ask. So a 38.4% chance. That's the lifetime odds of developing invasive cancer. Every 39 seconds, an American will have a heart attack, and every 40 seconds, someone's going to have a stroke. And then when you look at that last one, here's what's really telling. This is the part that we really, really need to address. 2/3 of bankruptcies in the U.S. are classified as medical. And again, the reason, and most of those are people who are going to be covered by some sort of major medical insurance, right? So that's an issue of not that they don't have coverage, not that they can't get discounts and have a network and see a doctor. The issue is that when those things come up, most people don't just have 10 grand sitting around. Right? If that's going to be $9,000 to $10,000 you're out of pocket, you have a heart attack. It'll be very, very difficult, again, not only to meet those medical needs, but then the subsequent issues that come up. So when you are working with folks, and here's, again, I don't want to tell you how to sell, but I do want to help you when you're selling. These are the 4 questions to ask when it comes to critical illness insurance. They're difficult, right? But I can promise you, if you're able to go through these and you get some yes answers on some of these things, you're going to uncover some needs, and I think it's going to make it much easier. So just ask, who do you know who has been diagnosed with cancer, suffered from a heart attack, had a stroke, anything like that, right? It helps to personalize the whole thing, and it gets them, as we all know, just from a psychological standpoint, if we start getting some yes answers, that does make it easier overall. Then you can ask, was it expected? Now that one is actually going to be, that one should be no. So we've gone away from the yes, but obviously it sets up for where we're going with this. But did it create emotional or financial stress? And would a lump sum check have eased this burden? I don't think people don't want to think about bad things. We don't want to think about having a heart attack or developing cancer. Certainly not with ourselves, not with our family members, but these are realistic situations. We need to go after it and say, hey, what if I could offer you a product that would pay you cash in the event of these unexpected medical bills, wage replacement from lost work, travel for treatment, and even more? I think that's something that most people are going to be interested in. I would hope so anyway. Here's one of the big things. How is Critical Guard different, right? Because you can say, well, hey, Evan, you've already got a critical illness plan. It's okay. The price isn't great. You can only issue it on one person at a time. It only goes up to age 64. It's a little bit stagnant. We addressed all those things here. So the issue ages now, we used to have actually, it wasn't even 64, it's only 59. We can issue these up to age 90. So I don't care who you're working with. I don't care who you get referred to. As long as they're 90 or under, we can go with that. We've increased the max benefits from 50K to 100K. So we doubled what the max should be. Here's another really, really good one, right? Because when we're talking about critical illness, a lot of times, right, the people who are most interested are folks who have already brushed up against it to the extent that they may not be able to be underwritten. That's okay because we do have guaranteed issue options on here. And those GI options go up to age 75. So even if you're working with a couple, maybe it's a husband and wife, and he's 68 and she's 63, just for instance, she's going to be on an ACA, but he's on Medicare. We could still do this product for them. We do have lifetime renewability. Our previous plans would end at age 70. These you can keep past that. So a few different innovative little solutions that are involved in here, but I'll touch on that a little bit more. But just wanted to kind of look at some of those big things. This I'm not going to touch on too much. You're probably familiar with that if you're doing business with us. The next day effective date, you can anyway. Again, eligible. Here's the other thing: the eligibility. Primary insured spouse. We can do dependent children on there. We can issue this on someone as young as 18, but in the past, you can only write on one person at a time. We would not have children eligible. This, if we got a husband and wife, let's say it's me, I'm 44, my wife's 43, we've got a 17-year-old and a 15-year-old, I could write this policy on my family, all four of us on there, versus before you could only do me on a plan, and my wife would have to be on a separate plan. That to me is awesome. We're going to talk about pricing on here in a little bit. I know you're probably concerned with that. And that's gotten even better as well. It's on another screen. Here's what's cool. So we can also break this down. It's not like an all or nothing product. I can sell this as heart stroke plan, as a cancer plan, as cancer plus heart and stroke, or as a full suite, kind of cover all my bases. And what's really cool about this is if I'm doing this at any of those guaranteed issue levels, I can go $5,000 DI on any of them individually or on that full suite. If I am doing that full suite, I can sell that guaranteed issue up to $10,000 on somebody who's under the age of 64. I know this gets a little confusing the way we're looking at it here. Just kind of think about it. If we're staying at those low levels, we can do GI. We go above that, it goes to your simplified issue, right? You ask a series of health questions or yes, no, as long as they can answer no to everything, we can get those issued. But as you see on there, we can go up to $100,000 on somebody who's under the age of 65, and we can do that on any of those individual policies. Again, these, I think what you're looking at, like that cancer, heart, stroke, so not like a full-blown critical illness that has everything. That's got some other critical conditions in addition to them. But if you are looking for those folks who are in that, maybe they're straddling that threshold or they're into that 65 plus age range. Yeah.
Okay, Evan, we've got a question. On the critical guard, if someone has a heart attack and then years later has a stroke, are they getting payouts for both incidences, or does the policy terminate after one incident?
So I'll look at a couple things on that. I'll try to let me see if I've got that covered. I'm getting to know these plans a little bit more here, but generally, yes, those are separate things. Provided we can keep that amount a little bit lower. We'll have to check on that. But let me see on this real quick on here. But effectively, it would be if we have paid out that full amount, that's when the plan itself would terminate. But I'll try to address that here in a little bit. And if I don't, I'll come back around.
Okay, great.
Yep. So as I was noting on here again, this kind of gives you a look at, it sounds a little bit weird when I say, you know, kind of the full suite, the other critical conditions, but those are going to include, as you look across to the right there, those other conditions that are covered when we do the full one: ALS, Alzheimer's, coma, loss of major organ transplants, loss of ADLs, stage renal failure. There's a bunch that's in there. What's really cool on this one as well is we look at all these additional benefits. Now, ideally, someone never needs to use them. There are some great options that are out there, the Optum Cancer and Heart Service, and where those really come into play, right, is when we're talking about a cancer diagnosis, especially if it's an invasive cancer, talking about a heart attack, the subsequent medical journey can get a little complicated, right? It's not as easy as just showing up to your doctor, doing a checkup, and leaving. Sometimes it's not even just going to the hospital and getting a checkup. You might need to go to a specialist. There's all kinds of other things that are going to be involved, and this service can actually help someone navigate that healthcare journey. So that's all included in here. There is now, when it says pregnancy benefit, I want to be very clear on that. That is not covering pregnancy, but if in the event, one thing that is kind of nice about it, again, we're starting to cover these families now. So if a woman is pregnant and then is diagnosed with one of these things during the course of her coverage, there would be an escalator on that. So it bumped the base amount of the policy by 50% if someone is diagnosed while pregnant. We can add on a wellness benefit, so that'll pay for wellness checkups. There's a prescription rider that's on there, excuse me, and then a telemed rider as well. So on those, again, the wellness, $75 per exam. Outpatient RX rider, that may not seem like much when it says $15 per prescription fill, but you know that's pretty solid for covering most generic drugs. Are going to fall a little bit lower than that. It'll cover $50 for a brand name fill. So that's a pretty cool little add-on. And then it's also got a Healthiest You telemed rider that we can put on there too. Again, I touched on a lot of those additional services. Here's another nice thing. I talked earlier about how we don't train usually until after these things are out. One other thing that we haven't done very well in the past is rolling out in a significant enough footprint. Now, not great right now for those of you who are in Ohio, but I know that a lot of you are doing business in bordering states. So we do have PA, West Virginia, Kentucky, and I think we're going to be having Ohio, Indiana, Michigan, some of the surrounding areas very soon. I can't really say anything about it yet specifically, but typically what we'll see is on a monthly basis, we're going to continue to add this out. So again, I want to bring this up to your attention so you know where it is. And I know a lot of you are doing business in those surrounding states, Kentucky in particular. I can look across the river and see some folks over there who are going to be eligible for this in a couple of weeks. So again, just know that we're going to spread this very quickly to the remainder of those states that are out there. Here's one of the exciting things. I know there's a lot going on here, so I'm not going to cover all of these different rates. But if you look on the left there, that's our, now it says prior, it's really current at this point. That is our existing, those are our rates right now. So like for myself, I would fall in there. I'm not quite 45 yet, but I'm close enough that I'm going to be in that range. So if I look at that green box, a $50,000 benefit, currently I would be paying about $117 a month. Under this new product, if I get the full suite of critical illness, right? We're talking cancer, heart attack, stroke, all those additional benefits, and I add on prescription and I add on wellness, I would be paying about $57 a month. So I'm saving $60, less than half, right? And you can see that across the board on most of these, to where the base rates on these plans are about half of what they are on our current plans, and it's for a better product. So that's kind of a no-brainer to me. And that's what I was talking about earlier, though. It is a little bit difficult. It would be a tough sell. If you came into my home or we're talking on the phone and you're trying to sell me on a $120 plan, it's going to pay out if I get cancer or, have a heart attack, like that's going to be tough, because $117 is not necessarily easy for most people to afford. And it's just on one person, right? So now we're talking about, well, I got it for my wife too, right? So now we doubled that. Well, what happens with the kids? Well, we can't cover the kids. We'll be able to get a little bit better with the pricing on this one. So I think that's really a good one to look at there. Again, if we're talking about folks who are in that under 65 market on the ACA side, here's the thing. right, is it's one thing to talk about those illnesses and the things that can come up. But when we talk about the emotional stress, when we talk about what happens to your family in the event of some of these things coming up, we do want to look at things about, and this stuff doesn't go away, right? It's not as if, oh, I have a heart attack and I'm cool the next day and we're good. Maybe that happens. That'd be awesome. Or we talk about a cancer diagnosis. I talk about this all the time. We had really good friends who the wife was suffering for a long time through a significant battle with cancer. And they were huge Disney people, right? They love going to Disney World and they had their vacation club. And they actually skipped 1 year before and 1 year after in order to save up enough points to bring our family and another family with them down there. And that was the last time he was actually able to travel to Disney. And so sometimes we look at this, we say, well, that seems good. That means so much to people to be able to go and get away. And maybe for you, it's not, maybe it's Hawaii, right? Maybe it's, my parents are out in Yellowstone right now. And actually they're in the Tetons. That's my dad's favorite place on earth. If he wanted to go escape somewhere, that's where he'd go, right? That's hard to do. If you're undergoing all these medical treatments, or maybe you've gone through it and you found on the other side. Now you're saddled with all these bills. Well, guess what if we had a plan that could help you cover all those things and leave some left over to do that? That's what we're trying to look at here. When you look at all these potential out-of-pocket costs, and it comes out almost 70 grand. Now we look at this and say, what would that cost for this family? And in this case, it's a family of 35. They're kind of young. It's only about $80 a month. Just things like that, right? We want to look past just what is it going to take to cover your deductible? What is it going to take to cover your copay? And this is the kind of example to me that strikes to what families really need, but might not know they need until someone like you brings it up to them. If we are looking, and again, I know most or all of you who are on here, you may not be in that over 65 market, but maybe you know some folks who are. Maybe someone gets referred to you, or maybe you've got someone to whom you're giving some referrals to. Hey, we can work with them on this. Or, hey, here's the other thing. You sold something to that 35-year-old couple. Guess what? You've got parents who are in this age range. Now they're wanting to get some things for them. So really cool stuff. Again, because we can go into those higher ages, so I just want to kind of throw that up there real quick. Medicare supplement, I know there's some things it won't cover as well, especially as some of these drugs are getting pushed into different tiers. So I think it's a great one for that market. I won't spend too much time on there. I'm going to go quickly through the e-store quoting stuff because I assume you all know how our e-store works. It will be available in there for you to pick all the different levels. And again, this will be as of the 22nd. That'll be 2 weeks from, 1 week Friday. We're already, oh my gosh, it's the 13th. Friday will be the 15th. Will be next Friday, not this coming. We do that same application pathway, all that stuff right there. These folks will have their own member portal, so you can get in there and see all their benefits, track their plan, and everything else. So again, I know I did not address that question specifically about the heart attack stroke issue there. Let me get back on that a little bit because, again, rather than just make something up for you, because this is so new, because I'm still getting used to it, I'm going to take that back. I will get some information to Jeff when I'm back in the office tomorrow, and I'll let you know on that for sure. But I'm happy to address anything else that might be up there as well.
Can you guys hear me now? Evan, can you hear me?
I can hear you because of me.
Okay. Hopefully you guys can hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you, Jeff. Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. Okay. So thanks so much, Evan, and exciting new product from UnitedHealthOne. As always, they come out with the industry-leading programs for supplemental and such a vital addition to our clients' portfolios. I do want to point out, it's sort of the elephant in the room, and I've been involved in this kind of on a legislative side personally. In July, there was an executive order, and that doesn't augur well for things like the indemnity products and the short-term products. And Evan also works in the short-term space as well. I know many of our agents, thrive in the short-term market. They sell a ton of that. So I'm just wondering if Evan can sound off on what I'm referring to, and that's the Biden administration executive order. I think they call it a proposed rule that came out in July that could impact short-term, making it from 12 months in Ohio down to 3 months, or potentially impact the indemnity product, because that was also, a proposal. And again, it's right now in the comment, review, and there's a lot of things that probably will happen before, if it is at all implemented. But I wanted, industry leader Evan to kind of sound off on his thoughts. Thanks.
Yeah. Right now, we're still in that comment period. We're still trying to find out for sure what the eventual rule will actually be versus the proposed rule. I can tell you that as an organization, we're operating under the idea that the rule that comes out will remain more or less unchanged from the proposed rule. Part of that's just out of making conservative business decisions, simply because it makes more sense to expect the worst and hope for the best. But we do believe that we are going to see the earliest this could go into effect is December 12th. We believe it will probably be 1/1, just to get clean, or at first of some month, first of the year, at which point the plans will be limited to 3 months. You can extend for months, so technically you can kind of get 4 months at a time, which would allow someone the ability or the need, I guess, to do 3 plans to cover them for the course of the year. And that's the other little limitation that's in there, is you can have 1 plan per license, I believe is how it was proposed. Now, whether or not that is a loophole that will close, right, because an individual company can technically have multiple licenses. So, but again, as it were right now, you have to be looking at, maybe you get one with UnitedHealthOne, and then another one with Allstate, another one with Pivot, or something, right? Just to provide some examples, they get to bounce around. Obviously, the shortcoming with that is that if someone were to have a significant health issue, be it illness or injury, that comes up during the course of one plan, they may be unable to buy another one. They might also be unable to buy ACA if they don't have a QLE, qualifying life event. There's a whole lot of stuff to go through, like 15 different acronyms in one sentence. But so yeah, we are a little bit concerned with that, but we're making some plans. And as Jeff noted, fixed indemnity may be in there as well. I think the biggest change with that, maybe right now we have it kind of on a per event basis, and I believe they want to move to a per day type benefit, which is one of the things you see kind of on the MA side. Medicare kind of in general, sort of a lot of those plans are on a per day basis versus a per occurrence. There might be some language that has to change on our end, but we are preparing for all those things. And so one way or the other, we'll have some stuff set for you. And we're hopeful that prior to this taking effect. Now, I will say, even though it's not available right now, in Ohio, we do have our tri-term plan. So for those of you who are doing some business in other states where our 3-year short terms are available, I would definitely recommend that you take a look at those for those clients who are eligible, so we can get them onto one of those plans prior to the end of this year, because again, that's a single policy. It runs that whole time. So even if this rule is to come out and kind of curtail some of what we're able to do right now on the traditional short-term medical plans, we can maybe keep them covered a little bit longer. But even if you're here, if you're in a state that's got 12 months short-term, try to get them on that plan before the end of this year. As of October 1st, right, we'll be able to start writing effective dates up to 90 days in advance. We operate under the assumption that 1/1, that is the assumption under which we're operating now. Think about it that way. It'll go into effect on 1/1. We want to have effective dates prior to that, right? So 12/31 and earlier, to make sure we get in front of it. So if you do have some customers who are on short-term plan now, it's going to end at some point next year, I'd recommend you to see what you can do to get them rewritten there toward the end of December and keep as much coverage for them into the future as possible.
Can you guys hear me? Okay, I'm back off mute. Yeah, that's really important that we stay on top of this issue. In fact, there's several congressmen are kind of championing the perspective of the consumer and the insurance agent with regard to this. I know there's one in Northwest Ohio, I think his name is Bob Latta, that are sort of, helping us push back against this, and maybe something will, tamp this down, and maybe this will go away. I don't know. We'll just see. Only time will tell. But stay vigilant, and by all means, if you're really concerned about it, like I am, reach out to the folks at NABIP and your congressman, et cetera, and voice your concerns over this. So let's see. A question, maybe I think Evan already addressed this, but it has to do with Ohio and approving TRICARE. Can you go over that again, Evan?
Yeah, so we have a tri-term medical plan that's available. We have it in 19 states now. I'd have to bring up, I can tell you real quick, actually. Well, I don't think I have it on this one. I don't have my state grid out. But we do have a tri-term medical plan that is a single policy short-term plan that runs for not technically a full 3 years. It's a day short of 3 years to max the coverage for what we've got available there. So if you're not familiar with that one and we want to go over some, by all means, feel free to reach out to me directly or go through Jeff, and he can get to me, and I can get you some of that information. And certainly I'd be happy to share our full product grid that we've got out there. Once we have it updated, you can kind of know, because I know a lot of you may be doing business across multiple states, and you just want to know for certain, especially with these new ones coming out, exactly what we have where. I can get that all out to you. Unfortunately, we keep changing everything so fast that it's very difficult for me to remember. I do work on a nationwide basis, so each state's availability becomes a little bit murky once we start launching new plans everywhere.
Okay, great. And certainly we'll follow up with you on that. Just give it a minute or so for more questions, and good stuff. Good stuff. And maybe you've got a question about the 12-month short-term in Ohio. This is your opportunity. We love it with the flexibility it offers, including the PPO network with the Choice Plus network. Is that right, Evan? The Choice Plus network is just superb. In today's day and age with the ACA products just offering HMOs, when somebody is out there offering an individual product with, the Choice Plus PPO network, that's a real feather in their cap. And so I really appreciate everybody joining us today, and keep your eyes and ears peeled for more information. A follow-up email will be going out on this. And, Evan, do you have any final thoughts before we conclude?
I just want to, again, just thank you for your time, and just know that as we continue to push forward, especially as we head into OEP this year, between trying to expand to the best of our ability on the ACA side, trying to continually innovate, bring you better products on our UH1 side, we are just doing our best to bring you products that can kind of serve multiple needs of your business, take care of just about everybody. So again, we thank you for the work that you're doing with us, and look forward to a really, really strong OEP coming up.
Thank you so much, Evan. Everybody, have a great day.